There's three approaches to value. The first approach is the sales comparison approach. In the sales comparison approach, the estimate of value is obtained by comparing the property being appraised, or the subject property, with recently sold properties, called comps, which are similar to the subject property. The subject property is the property being evaluated. Adjustments are never made to the subject property. Comparables or comps, these are similar properties that have recently sold. Especially in a rapidly changing market, an appraiser always uses the most current comps, preferably those that have sold within 6 months, but no longer than 12 months. The appraiser then makes adjustments. Adjustments are always made to the sale price of the comparables. Appraisers normally adjust for features, square footage, and location. Market cycles, such as appreciating markets and depreciating markets, can create the need for date of sale adjustments. Because no two properties are alike, the appraiser makes adjustments for features in the comparable properties that either appear or are absent from the subject property. If a feature in the comp is better than the subject, the appraiser subtracts the value of that feature from the sale price of the comp. If a feature is worse than the subject, the appraiser adds the value of that feature to the sale price of the comp. Remember, CBS, if the comp is better, subtract, or CWA, comp is worse, add. Sometimes the value of a feature being adjusted can be determined by comparing properties with and without the feature, and that's called a paired sales analysis. The next valuation method we're going to talk about is the cost approach or summation approach. The cost approach is simply determining the value of a structure by adding up the costs of all the things that went into building it. Cost approach is the most effective method for new construction and special purpose or single purpose buildings that there aren't comps for. So with the cost approach, we take the cost to build new minus the depreciation or the accrued depreciation plus the value of the land. Cost to build it minus depreciation plus the value of the land, and we'll get the estimated value. Now, there's two types of costs new. There is reproduction cost, which is constructing a replica or duplicate of the building. And there's replacement cost, which is constructing a building similar to the subject with the same function and utility, but using current construction materials and methods. Depending on the building, we will either use a reproduction cost to build a duplicate or a replacement cost when we start our valuation equation. When we estimate depreciation, what depreciation means is a loss of value for any reason. Physical depreciation is basically happens with time. Physical depreciation is wear and tear. Physical depreciation can be curable or incurable. Functional obsolescence is a loss in value due to features in the property that are outdated, outmoded, or no longer desirable for purchasers. Some of the features may be replaced, and replacing them will affect the property's value. Economic or external obsolescence is caused from negative factors that are not on the subject property, such as environmental factors, social or economic forces. Economic obsolescence is always incurable because the loss in value cannot be cured by spending more money on the property. Income approach is a valuation method used for income or rent-producing properties like apartments, office buildings, retail centers, shopping centers, that kind of thing. Capitalization is the process of comparing future income to present value. When we use the capitalization process, we first need to calculate the net operating income for the property. Net operating income is calculated. We take the potential gross income, the potential annual gross income, minus allowances for vacancies and bad debt, and then we come up with the effective gross income. Effective gross income minus operating expenses equals net operating income. So to review, we take the potential annual gross income minus allowances for vacancies and bad debt, and then we get the effective gross income. The effective gross income minus operating expenses equals net operating income. Now, operating expenses do not include debt service. Once we get the net operating income, the appraiser then estimates the rate of return or yield that an investor would demand for investing in this property. The rate of return is called the capitalization rate or cap rate. The net operating income divided by the capitalization rate gives the appraiser an estimate of the property's value. Certain formulas are important in dealing with income property. Net operating income divided by cap rate equals value. Net operating income divided by value equals cap rate. Cap rate times value equals net operating income. The gross rent multiplier, or GRM, is a tool that an appraiser sometimes uses when appraising income-producing properties. To find the GRM, or gross rent multiplier, the appraiser identifies the values of comparable leased properties in the area, normally 4 or more comparable properties, along with the actual monthly rents they generate. Then we divide the individual comparable properties' values by the monthly rents they generate. That gives the appraiser the GRM. Once the appraiser has determined the GRM of the area, then the estimated rent of the subject property is then multiplied by the GRM in the area to arrive at a rough estimate of the subject property's value. GRM, gross rent multiplier, times monthly gross rent equals estimated value. GRM times monthly gross rent equals estimated value. And remember, GRM is determined from dividing the individual comparable properties' values by the monthly rents. Remember, if you're given a GRM problem, be certain to use the monthly rent. GRM times monthly gross rent equals estimated value. Reconciliation is the final step in the appraisal process. Now, reconciliation is not averaging. We're not adding up values of comparable properties and taking an average. Reconciliation is not averaging.